Now, we're going to read, starting from Canto 9, Chapter 11, Text 7, number of verses. We'll just read the translations, and then we'll get to some verse with purport. So the brahmanas are speaking, having been respected, and then returned everything back to Ramachandra, feeling satisfied, more than satisfied with the realization that came along with the gifts. So, O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have accepted the brahmanas as your worshipable deity. Your knowledge and memory are never disturbed by anxiety. You are the chief of all famous persons within the world, and your lotus feet are worshipped by sages who are beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. O Lord Ramachandra, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. It's such reciprocation. I mean, he just honored them with everything. They've given back. And now he accepts the brahmanas as his worshipable deity, but he's the personality of Godhead, and they're offering their obeisances. Such reciprocation. Shukadeva Goswami continued. Once, while Lord Ramachandra was walking at night incognito, hiding himself by disguise to find out the people's opinions of himself, he heard a man speaking unfavorably about his wife, Sita Devi. Speaking to his unchaste wife, the man said, "You go to another man's house, and therefore you are unchaste and polluted. I shall not maintain you any more. A henpecked husband like Lord Rama may accept a wife like Sita, who went to another man's house, but I am not henpecked like him, and therefore I shall not accept you again." Ooh. Shukadeva Goswami said, men with a poor fund of knowledge and a hideous character speak nonsensically. Fearing such rascals, Lord Ramachandra abandoned his wife Sita Devi, although she was pregnant. Thus Sita Devi went to the ashram of Valmiki. When the time came, the pregnant mother, Sita Devi, gave birth to twin sons, later celebrated as Lava and Kusha. The ritualistic ceremonies for their birth were performed by Valmiki Muni. Oh, Maharaj Parikshit, Lord Lakshmana had two sons named Angada and Chitraketu. Lord Bharata had also two sons named Taksha and Pushkala. Shatrughna had two sons named Subbahu and Shrutasen. When Lord Bharata went to conquer all directions, he had to kill many millions of Gandharvas, who were generally pretenders. Taking all their wealth, he offered it to Lord Ramachandra. Shatrughna also killed a Rakshasa named Lavana, who was the son of Madhu Rakshasa. Thus he, that's Shatrughna, established in the great forest known as Madhuvan, the town known as Mathura. Being forsaken by her husband, Sita Devi entrusted her two sons to the care of Valmiki Muni. Then, meditating upon the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, she entered the earth. Purport. It was impossible for Sita Devi to live in separation from Lord Ramachandra. Therefore, after entrusting her two sons to the care of Valmiki Muni, she entered the earth. And let's chant together text 16. Tachrutva Bhagavan Ramo Rundhan Api Diya Shuchaha Smarangs Tasya Ganangs Tam Stan Nashak Nod Rudham Ishvaraha. After hearing the news of Mother Sita's entering the earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was certainly aggrieved. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, upon remembering the exalted qualities of Mother Sita, he could not check his grief in transcendental love. Purport. Lord Ramachandra's grief at the news of Sita Devi's entering the earth is not to be considered material. In the spiritual world, also, there are feelings of separation, but such feelings are considered spiritual bliss. Grief in separation exists even in the absolute, but such feelings of separation in the spiritual world are transcendently blissful. Such feelings are a sign of tasya prema vashatva swabhava, or being under the influence of ladini shakti and being controlled by love. In the material world, such feelings of separation are only a perverted reflection. Different narrations of the same history. The narration that's in Valmiki Muni, Ramayana, depicts this scene in a different way. I mean, some of the other details are quite similar, but this particular, she entered, and he heard about it. He entered the earth. She entrusted her sons to. There's a whole description that the boys are brought by Valmiki Muni back to Ayodhya, and there's a concert, and they're reciting, and who are these boys, and then she enters the earth in his presence. At least that's my understanding of how the Ramayana depicts this. And so this is there are two superlative authorities that don't exactly match. So how to reconcile? There's probably some commentary that's not here that our acharyas express this distinction or difference and how to reconcile. And commonly, I don't know in this particular case, but commonly it's different days of Brahma, different appearances of Lord Ramachandra during different days of Brahma, and so some details are different because it's a different day, and variety is the mother of enjoyment, Prabhupada's words. So he's enjoying and in a variety of ways, and so there's variety. And it's not at all terrible. It's joyful that there's variety. That one can get confused, and especially confused about facts that appear to be material, and as opposed to understanding the narration in terms of the rasa that's being portrayed. I've understood this for some period of time now. When there's a seeming discrepancy between this and that, one nice way to reconcile is step back, and rather than fine-tuning or getting out a micro measurement meter and see which one is seems to be more accurate or something like that, that they understand the rasa that's being. So differences don't differ in rasa. There may be a little different flavor. In this case, it's explicit, not that Ram saw, Ram heard. And to see Sita, Devi, entering the earth opened up, and the description is Bhumi, who is another consort of the personality of Godhead, along with Sita Devi, or Lakshmi and Bhumi, or Shri and Bhu, as features of or Shaktis of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhu Shakti accompanied Sita Devi, Shri Devi, in returning to the earth, or entering the earth, or returning in the sense that she came from the earth and she's returning to where she came from. Now, by material yardsticks, all of this is like fantasy. And for devotees, it's historical, and it's exhibiting one of the main features of the personality of Godhead is that he is rasa, and he is experiencing rasa, and he is stimulating rasa. Whether it's the empathy of the citizens who love Ramachandra, and he hears and he enters into this. It's not depression. It's just a mood of separation. Intense, transcendental separation, which is part of him. It's one of the flavors, or one of the tastes of rasa that come from sorrow, the feelings of separation from Sita Devi. And it goes on, as we're going to hear in upcoming verses, for how many? 13,000 years? So compare, contrast, the worldly, which is a reflection of, perverted reflection of. So reflection, that's a nice word in English. So reflection is easy to think of. Reflection as just like a mirror and an object in a mirror. So the object has substance, and the reflection has no substance. On the other hand, reflection of that which is transcendental is abhas. And as we've been hearing, this is like we render devotional service, but it's bhakti abhas. It's not shuddha bhakti. So it's not that bhakti abhas is non-existent or has no, it's insubstantial. It's not sat, but it's not asat either. It's not non-existent. So bhakti abhas, that kind of bhakti that we render, because it's not perfectly performed yet, and assuming we're striving for perfection, may it come to that stage. Until then, it's abhas, a reflection or a shadow. And it has its potency. Bhakti abhas has potency. So similarly, the reflection, this mood of Ramachandra, is the real thing, and then the mood in this world is not the real thing, but it's rasa. It's very nice understanding and a nice discussion on this topic. So, emotions that people feel in this world, it's a perverted reflection, but it's also rasa. There's a worldly rasa, separation, grief at the loss of someone. What to speak of one's wife or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the explanation the Bhagavatam has it. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's experiencing the real thing, and what's in this world is a reflection of the real thing. But I'm trying to make the point that the reflection of the real thing is not a zero. As Bhakti Abhas is not zero, so this mood of separation is not zero. The mood of separation that people feel, it's a rasa. It's a perverted reflection of the real rasa, but there's an experience. And where does the experience come from? It comes from the original. Say it in a different way. In this world, is there such a thing as rasa? Of course. A perverted reflection, but it's not insubstantial. It's not, we're not Mayavadis. It's not false. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's a reflection. Does reflection exist? Yes. It's a reflection. It's not false. It's not a zero. We're not Sunyavadis or Nirvisheshvadis. Nirvishesh, no attributes. The same as Vishishta Advaita, as we were hearing. The same Sanskrit root. Vishesh or Vishishta, same Sanskrit root. They're attributes, they're real. Attributes in the spiritual and attributes in this realm. They're real. But they're, now you see it, now you don't. It's lacking the same substance as reality, but it's not zero, not non-existent. What to speak of the Supreme having attributes? That's the further extension of impersonalism. There's no form, no qualities, no name. You can use a name, that's okay. It's when you say the name, understand it's the unborn impersonal within. Wow. Anyway, to understand transcendental knowledge takes a transcendental brain, or takes a spiritual conception. Starting from the spiritual conception, then one can start to have an understanding of Bhagavan. Say it the other way. If one doesn't have a spiritual conception of self, one is not going to understand Bhagavan. One will, the n number of different possibilities one might take, but none of them are the proper conception of the absolute truth, the source of everything. So what about us? We're not, most of us at least, are not as yet on the Brahma Buddha platform. And so how are we going to understand? Well, by hearing with faith, then the clearing stage can take place, and we can start to form at least a theoretical conception. But then the mature stage is not just a theoretical, there's a direct experience of a form of the Lord, or rasa, or anything that's of substance, the spiritual substance. Sadhana is not false. It's a replica or a shadow of or reflection of bhakti. It's a nice teaching. Yeyatam mam prapadyante tatang satai vibhajamyaham. Everyone has some conception. The mind carries conceptions. So we have some conception. And then there's the atheist that says no. And then the devotee that says yes, but I'm not there yet. So that's the reflection of the form of the Lord, or the personality of the Lord, or the activities of the Lord, the name of the Lord. That's the Abba stage. But it's not a no. It's not complete. So what is one to do from that position? That's all of us. We Mahajano Yenda Katasa Panta, we follow those great authorities, particularly our spiritual masters and our founder Acharya and the disciplic succession, and we look to them, and with our head tilted back, we look up respectfully and try to serve and carry out their volition, their will, and slowly some clearing and realization can come. That's our confidence. Dhairyat. Mm-hmm. One of the explanations from Padma Purana, one of the explanations of this washerman, it doesn't say his occupation here, in Padma Purana it does. The washerman, in his previous life, was a bird. And his previous life, the Padma Purana narration goes like this. Have we ever shared this in this assembly? No. Way back, before Sita was married, back in with her father, she was in a garden, and she heard two parrots singing. And she listened carefully to what the parrots were singing, and they were singing Ramayana. Because when Valmiki was composing Ramayana, they heard. And as parrots, without any realization, they just repeated, parrot-like repeating. And Sita heard, and she heard about, she's just a young girl, she heard about her marriage and so many things, according to Padma Purana. And so she asked the parrots, where'd you learn all this? And they said, we just heard from Valmiki, so we're just parroting what Valmiki said. But she wasn't satisfied. She wanted to know more. And they didn't know more, because they're just parrots. So she decided, I'm going to put them in the cage. She put them both in the cage. And the female was pregnant. And so she let the, I can't remember which one it was. She let the female go or let the male go, I forget. And then, so the male bird cursed her. The day will come when you will have similar situation where you'll be pregnant and be separated from your husband. And that male bird in his next life became the washerman. And then did what he did, and so what happened, according to Padma Purana, so different narration, different day of Brahma, but that's who he was in his previous life. He was a male parrot, reciting Ramayana, having heard from Valmiki. So Sita, this is one of those explanations of why Sita was separated from her husband, because there was a curse by a parrot. So don't offend parrots. Don't offend other living entities. And the other, it wasn't a brahmana, it was a parrot. And the parrot who cursed became a shudra, a washerman. Now, there are many different, so what? So some sudra says these things, and you haven't violated anything, and Sita hasn't violated anything. So you're going to banish your wife because somebody said something? It's a pastime. We already, this part we already discussed. What were Ram's contemplations? Many. It's the very next verse in this section provides a nice answer. I'm going to read text 17. The attraction between man and woman, or male and female, always exists everywhere, making everyone always fearful. Such feelings are present even among the controllers like Brahma and Lord Shiva, and is the cause of fear for them. What to speak of others who are attached to household life in this material world? Purport. As explained above, when the feelings of love and transcendental bliss from the spiritual world are pervertedly reflected in this material world, they are certainly the cause of bondage. So material rasa is bondage. As long as men feel attracted to women in this material world and women feel attracted to men, the bondage of repeated birth and death will continue. But in the spiritual world, where there is no fear of birth and death, such feelings of separation are the cause of transcendental bliss. In the absolute reality, there are varieties of feelings, but all of them are of the same quality of transcendental bliss. So it's not discussed here. Maybe coming up. So main point, main theme is our experience is a reflection of the spiritual reality, and we can get a hint of the spiritual reality through our experience, but it requires the conversion from the reflection to the reality. It's a semblance of only, insubstantial semblance, asat or ashashvata, impermanent. It's something, but it's impermanent. So it's a major thing to get on the other side of seeing or experiencing through the lens of the material conception. How to go beyond that material conception to actually experience spiritual reality. That's the bhakti process. We practice following authorities into scripture because authorities follow scripture. And with faith and confidence, the covering which blocks our experience of reality, covering will be removed, can be removed, and will be removed in due course of time by faithful following. So one more thing. It's not just the following takes care of it. Supposing one is a fastidious follower of all the rules, and chanting and thising and thating and the offerings of deity in deity worship and serving the Vaishnavas and all those good things. It's not the material aspect, it's the attracting the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the feelings of love. So the feelings of love can be bestowed. And then one who feels those feelings of love, we should understand it's simply mercy. I'll end with this. Last year in Gita Nagari, Garuda Prabhu was a co-speaker. And fantastic, vastly learned, very wise, really funny, and it presents things in such a nice way. So he liked the experience so much, not just our sharing the platform of speaking, but the audience, the interaction with the audience was relishable for him. So he wanted to do this again. So we're planning something in Potomac, the day after Balaram's Appearance Day. Balaram's Appearance Day is on a Friday, and so the day after, we're 2 classes. So we're going back and forth on the topics that we would discuss. And in the course of those exchanges, she shared something with me. He just sent me a note, a handwritten note from a student that he had some years ago. Because he's a teacher and a professor, and he had students. So when he's teaching, he's giving the subject matter, but it's also Garuda. He's giving bhakti. So he's a little short note, that the student expressed, my life has forever changed from this just taking your course in college. As you as my professor, and my life has changed permanently. So we had a little, back and forth on this. That is, it's not him. He's become invested with something from some higher authority, from our founder Acharya, and through our founder Acharya's other authorities and Krishna himself. Being invested with Bhakti Shakti comes from Krishna. So we give the credit to where we got Bhakti Shakti from. And same as here, same principle. The ability to become freed from covering and experience transcendental reality, transcendental emotion, the transcendental pastimes of, or the rasa that connected with those pastimes, it's very special. certainly there's some things that we should do to prepare ourselves and qualify ourselves, but that's not sufficient. The essence is that this, when that effort is seen, specifically the effort to connect to, in a personal way, to the Supreme. There's reciprocation. There's a modest reciprocation that comes even when we're just like kind of distracted sadhakas. But it's not the same. The experience is not the same. The reciprocation is not the same. Therefore, the experience is not the same as when the activity, just chanting or worshipping a deity, or it's Ram Nomi. So, I mean, I noticed on your altar, there's a Ramachandra and this nice picture up on the wall. So you probably grew up with Ram Bhakti.
Yeah, since childhood, like we are connected to Lord Ram.
Huh?
Since childhood.
Since childhood.
We are connected to Lord Ram. In South, it is Lord Ram is like in North, Lord Krishna is famous like Lord. In South, Lord Rama is famous.
Yeah. And you grew up with that too, from mom and dad?
Kind of. I think they got into ISKCON when I was like 3.
Yeah. The light went on. Okay. It's mercy. There's something we do, but it's mercy. So I'm sure this is a very special day for you. Just this morning, Nityananda Pran sent me a little picture. Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, and the three brothers. You know, he's been, anyway, they're in Houston. Nityananda Pran and his troupe performing. So, you know, it's a celebration. So, and that's mercy. Who knows for him, previous life, but something. And then the something is enhancing, but it's not just the musicality and, you know, the erudition and, you know, it's bhakti. What moves people's hearts when performers, he and his little group, it's not the erudition and the musicality. That can be nice, but it's the bhakti. So that's the message for this morning on Ram Nomi. May we be eager to receive that special mercy, even when he's feeling separation. Sita enters the earth. That's a rasa. Oh no. Okay, any discussion? Gone a long time.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thanks for the wonderful class on Lord Ramchandra. I have two questions, Maharaj. One is like Mother Sita and Bhudevi. Both are concepts of Lord.
Yes.
And I heard sometimes like Sita considers Bhudevi as a mother, like in Rama in many
She
times.
came from the earth, so she's mother.
So how can we understand that?
Oh, it's transcendental emotion, not worldly.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another one is, as you are saying, the parrot story. Parrots narrating
Parrots,
the
right.
Ramayana
Yeah.
to Sita. I'm like I have a question about chronological order. So Valmiki already written the Ramayana before it happened.
Apparently. And Sita heard it before it happened,
Yeah.
at least from the Purana.
What I heard, Maharaj, Narada comes to Valmiki,
Yes.
and Valmiki asks, "Is there any person with these kind of qualities?" And Narada gives the Sankship, the Ramayana. While actually Lord Ramachandra was living at that moment.
Yeah.
So my understanding was that Lord Rama was already performing.
Say it again slower. I mean, your understanding was?
My understanding was Lord Rama was already on the earthly planet, was performing the activity. So the Valmiki question starts.
No, wait a minute. I'm not sure I've understood what you just said. Are you saying that when Narada came to visit Valmiki, Ramchandra was already on earth?
Yes, Maharaj.
That's your understanding?
Yes. So Valmiki asks question to Narada that is there any person with these qualities right now living in this on this earth? That's a question he asks basically. So then Narada actually explains the qualities of Lord Rama. He is the person actually living at this moment with these qualities.
You're probably right. I never considered it like that, but you're probably right, because that's the question, and that was the answer. So he was already present. But somehow I missed it. No.
Yeah, I mean, I just I'm wondering the chronological order.
But the whole thing of the pastimes right up to the conclusion of Ramchandra's departure from the world, he can be present in the world that he hasn't departed yet. So he could see past, present, future, yes. Not only could see, the benediction that Brahma gave him was, you would understand the entire Mula Ramayana, even though you haven't heard it. Because he's a very special personality, and he's the gifted one. He's the chosen one. So,
Thank you, Maharaj.
someone else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the class today. I am just little confused. In one of the verses, it is said that Shatrughna killed Rakshasa named Lavana, who was the son of Madhu demon. But I thought Madhu was killed by Krishna.
That's just different.
Different.
Same name, different person.
Okay.
And in different circumstances as well. You know, the bottom of the ocean and stealing the Vedas, and the different pastime, different circumstance, same name, very, very different circumstance. Something else? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in 9, 11, 10, the translation reads, like a part of the translation is, fearing such rascals, Lord Ramchandra abandoned his wife. So, I mean, to me it's interesting the use of the word fearing the rascals. I mean, if we see, I mean, how can
he have fear?
And then that we are like of a rascal, I mean.
Well, are you you're focused on the word rascals, or they're so focused on the word fear? Fear. Yeah.
I mean, fear of the rascal.
But the fear, period, fear of anything, He's this, he's the supreme, and anything that exists is from him. And anything that's from him is under his control. So it's unique. But is that a possibility? That's the question. Can he who is, fear arises from the Bhagavatam, fear arises is in absorption in the bodily conception. Vayam datriyam abhindiveshi taksyat. Fear arises, so it's not that kind of fear. That's the difficulty. Taking the fear that is common and we know, and thinking of that same kind of fear as from the personality of Godhead. It's an emotion. It's a transcendental, untainted by the touch of the modes of material nature emotion. It's a transcendental emotion. Now, how do you, can the mind conceive of fear that's not in the bodily conception? It doesn't, there's no such conception. Then it's a transcendental emotion. And he's entitled to transcendental emotion. He's the source of everything, so it's got to be there. The capacity is got to be there. So what does that look like? Well, here's an example of what it might look like. But it's not fear as we know it. Now, part of the difficulty is there's this dual position of the personality of Godhead and a king. So is the fear from the king side or from the transcendental personality of Godhead side? So it appears to be material, when it's not. And that's the leela of being a king. But it's the transcendental emotion, because even he's in the role of a king. It's not a mundane emotion. It's not the chivalry of Ramachandra in dealing with Ravana. It's not a mundane emotion. It's a pastime. It's a transcendental display of his enjoying, and the devotees, the whole scene of the emotion that goes on a battlefield, and those emotions are being stimulated within him and within those who are his followers. So, how to look? It's a nice question. How to look at the statement of fear through a transcendental lens, and not the material one, when he has these two functions, the personality of Godhead. So just like his affection for the brahmanas and giving charity to the brahmanas, and that's a worldly function. But it's not. He's teaching by example, but he has affection for those brahmanas. They understand he's the personality of Godhead, and he's just given us everything, and we've given it back to him, but it's his anyways. So, in a similar fashion, the transcendentalness of his emotion of fear is a transcendental emotion, not worldly. Because what does he have to fear? He's all powerful. That this fellow, the washerman, is a fly, extinguished. So it's a transcendental emotion in his pastime as the king.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Subtle. not easy to understand. The more there's a transcendental attachment to the object, or from a point of view of a transcendental seer and the transcendental object, then there's full clarity. And otherwise, it's somewhat notional. There's a nice, my memory is very poor. There's a nice passage in Padyavali where Rupa Goswami is reciting verses. Padyavali is verses, and some of them are his composition, and some of them are others. And I can remember the emotion, but I can't remember the detail. The personality of Godhead in his infant state. Oh, yeah. Krishna babbling when he's a little boy. So that's the scene that's being depicted. So it's a transcendental emotion, although he has the body of a baby. It's a little, not baby, but a little boy, little 2 years or 3-year-old boy. When he sleeps, he would babble. And Mother Jasoda would sometimes listen to his babble. Like, what's going on? And he would describe scenes that would happen later in his life, because he's transcendental. He's not just, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. And at a certain point, he started, as a little boy asleep, babbling, talking in his sleep. Something occurred, and Krishna, little boy Krishna said something, like as a hero engaged in combat, because his mind was immersed in his pastimes, which would happen later. I'll have to look it up and circulate it or something like that. But he's beyond time and space. He's transcendental, and his emotions are similar. And the circumstance may prompt some emotion in his mind or in the external situation, but it's a transcendental emotion, whatever the stage of life. And same Ramachandra, same Krishna. Transcendental emotion that's being stimulated by, in this one case is a dream, another case is a conversation by a washerman chastising his wife, stimulating that transcendental emotion. It's fascinating. Udipana, stimulations of transcendental love. You have something.
There was
No, over here. She was having her hand up first.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for this wonderful rasa session. So Maharaj, my question is this separation anxiety. So this happens because most of the scriptures explain that separation anxiety, they feel blissful.
Yes.
So in our in the material sense, is it because they will think more about that person or contemplate more about the person more than when they are present before
More
them?
than what?
When they are present before them. When they're separated.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Feelings of separation arise when there's attachment. There's no feeling of separation when there isn't attachment. When there's attachment, there's feelings of separation. So then there's material and there's spiritual attachment. And the material attachment is a reflection, a perverted, here we're hearing, perverted reflection of.
So
Now what's your
my-
question?
How it is blissful?
How is it blissful?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. The primary rasa is magnified or intensified. And the primary rasa is blissful. So when that primary rasa becomes intensified or magnified, it's blissful. You know, that's again, it's a transcendental understanding. And if one doesn't have a transcendental brain, then one isn't going to understand it. It's gobbledygook. Word jugglery. You know, I know what misery is. And misery is miserable. And you're telling me misery is ecstatic. What'd you have for breakfast? You know, what drug have you taken? So but it's transcendental. Love can be intensified through circumstance. And there's this, that's what the secondary rasa is. Circumstance helps stimulate the primary. And there's categories of what that may look like. And then mixing of those 7. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So this was the question / comment posted when you were answering the fear question. So there is Mataji Archana Vaidya. She's saying, Hare Krishna Maharaj, can a perspective be that since Lord Rama is showing human-like pastimes and wants to teach us what to be feared and what not to be feared when one is in a position of authority?
It's not that transcendental motion is displayed to teach us something. You know, it certainly may be, but it's not, you know, what's the transcendental lesson about fearing a washerman who says something bad about your wife? What's the lesson? Now, what's coming up is, I thought we were going to, when there's male-female attachment, then there's the experience of emotions that are, you know, distorted or inappropriate or not genuine. And that's one of the things that's being said about this whole pastime. Lord Ramachandra is teaching, this is what happens when a man becomes attached to a woman. You're going to have these emotions. But you know, it's back to this, you know, the attachment, the feeling of separation is due to attachment. There's no feeling of separation without attachment. And the attachment, the separation feeling is back to your question, is an intensification of that love. It's a super primary important activity for the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that's what he did. He experienced madness in separation, in the mood of Radharani feeling separate from Krishna. It was madness. It was madness. And that is portrayed like that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Antya Leela portion of his pastimes are, you know, an ongoing condition of madness. I think we should end. Can we end?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Huh?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.
His Holiness Rompad Swami Maharaj.